Hey everybody, it's Strict 9 with Strict 9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020 playthrough. This is my third run here as a coach and manager of a team. I'm now with the UAB Blazers, and we are getting ready to start the season. We've got a tough non-conference schedule. I know I had said previously that I was going to try to give us an easy schedule so we can maybe get this team used to winning. I backtracked on that because when saw some of the teams that the I guess the athletic director gave us on the schedule, I was like, what the heck? I'm going to go with it and hope that we are more competitive in the conference schedule. But this will give us a good look at this team, see what they're made of. It's going to be a tough test right out of the gate. But this episode, I'm going to hopefully send through maybe the first 5-6 games of the season, and I want to catch you guys up on some of the things that have been happening with recruiting and with the depth chart and getting every position kind of filled in the way I'm wanting to go with it. But let's go ahead and start first things first. I want to go over a little bit of roster management. And, first things first, I want to say I appreciate some of the comments I've been getting from you guys. There's some seasoned players of this, if not this game, at least, or if not the franchise, at least this version of the game. Great tips that you guys are leaving, and I'm trying to follow them. I'm not being successful in some of them, but I do appreciate the feedback. This is a game that if some of you guys are watching this to get an idea of how to play this game, it's one of those that really you need the tips. You need the advice because it's got a lot of depth to it, and I really appreciate it. But first thing I wanted to talk about for the team in general, I thought in terms of where we're strong, if we're strong anywhere, I thought center is probably our strongest position. We do have 4 players on scholarship and 2 sophomores, 2 freshmen. So I thought that would be a good position to redshirt, and so I went with this Dan Anderson. He's got 3-star potential, and there's some positives to him like rebounding and shot blocking potential, inside shooting. So I'm not going to rule this guy out in terms of what kind of future or if he's going to have a future with this team. But I really like the idea of having one of these centers getting one more year of eligibility, even if he's just maybe a backup, is as high as it goes. I know it's going to impact though his relationships because he's wanting solid minutes, but I just feel like that's the one area that I could probably afford to do that with, and I'd really rather save one of these guys for the next season than play him. But that's one thing I did. That's the only red shirt that I put out there. We are going to be top to bottom. I mean, we're going to struggle because we've only got 2 guys here rated 3-star, and they're really, if you break it down and start looking at some of their individual ratings, I don't know how strong they're going to be, but at least I thought we had good depth at center, and I could afford to do that. Now, another thing I want to talk about is recruiting. One of the commenters, I have to say, I agree with what you're saying about who to target. 4 and 5-star recruits is what you want to go for. Maybe it's because it's my first year. Maybe, the school itself has a low prestige. But I have struck out on all the 4 and 5-star recruits that I tried. I think I probably did a little bit of a bad thing early on, but when I only chose scouting reports from the Southeast region, I probably should have expanded a little bit. I think that would have helped if I'd done that. I did have the money as far as that goes, but for whatever reason, I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't have a whole lot of confidence in my abilities to recruit with this team, even though I'm coming off with Penn State. I'm coming off a really good recruiting year. My last season there, I was ranked 34th in the country, and I think we did get some if not one, maybe multiple 4-star recruits in that class. But one of the things that I'm seeing now, having played 6 seasons in this playthrough and played a little bit more offline, there's a fog of war concept, I think, when you look at the staff. Like for my assistant who's in charge of scouting, he's at a 3-star right now, 3 out of 5. So he should have pretty decent scouting ability, but those numbers typically don't stay where they're at. If he's a 4-star recruit, I'm seeing, sometimes when we get those kind of guys, they flip. The guy that you got kind of as a last ditch effort just to fill a scholarship, he was maybe a 1-star recruit. He joins your team, you go to the dashboard, and now he's a 2-star or higher recruit with 4 or higher potential. So I'm trying to look for guys that are not just star rated highly in stars, but also have some good, I don't know if what would be the term that would best fit, but I guess good personality traits, good traits. That's what I'm looking for, that show up in some of these recruiting notes, where you've got, like, his basketball coach says he's a leader. Well, he's not a leader, but he doesn't cause problems. This guy, for instance, I'm already offered him a scholarship. He's got some good skill ratings, B overall, but for that small forward position, he's good inside and outside. Overall, he's got some, good ratings. So if the stars are not there, I'm going to go with the skill ratings, points, his stats and things from his high school, and whatever information I can get from my recruiting notes. But I'm not hesitant to go with a guy like Paul Landry, who's going to be probably my second choice here at small forward. Even though he's a 1-star recruit, he's averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds in high school. Pretty decent size, 6'6". We're his number one choice. But if you look at some of the recruiting notes here, let's see. His coach says he rarely ever misses a day of practice, so he's probably got good work ethic. He's got some knowledge of a zone defense that we may use occasionally. He's a good outside shooter here. He's B and above in most. Well, sorry, C and above in most. So he's got a potential to come to the team and start. And like I say, even though he's 1-star, that could flip as soon as he joins the team. But the recruiting has been kind of what I was seeing for the majority of time that I was at Austin Peay and at Penn State, even until that last season. 4- and 5-star recruits are just tough to find, especially if you're not going outside your region. So if I probably don't want to do this here, but because it'll probably, if it shows me more than if it shows me like a bunch of interested recruits. But if I were to go just all regions and interested, well, it's not going to show me anything different. So we're pretty much, I guess, a regional program, which is what I was thinking. But maybe next year, if I pick up like Southeast and maybe Midwest, maybe that would be not too far away from Alabama. Maybe I could make some inroads there, but it's going to be costly too. That, unfortunately I had the budget for it this year, but I didn't do it. And I think a reason I didn't do it because I felt like, again, I didn't feel like I was going to get too much luck or have much success recruiting with this team. But the 3 positions I'm trying to fill, point guards, shooting guard, small forward, I've got scholarships out there for all 3 of those positions. I've got 1 verbal right now. This is the point guard that I'm looking at, Larry Stewart. Again, some positives here that I see. He's a good outside shooter, scorer, passer, ball handling. Those are rated high. Athleticism. Um, his basketball coach has some good things to say about his work ethic. So I'm willing to go with that. I'm willing to make that gamble. And another thing that I also like, if the stars aren't falling into place, if I can't get those high star recruits, I do look for guys who are improving. As the season goes on, you'll see these fluctuate. So you might be lucky and get a guy early who just develops throughout his senior season and becomes a really good prospect. So this guy, for a point guard, he's certainly a scorer. And another thing you have to worry about too, Kenny Lightfoot, we're his top choice. He's a better rated, at least by the scouting reports, better rated point guard than anybody else I'm looking at. We're first on his team, we're his number one school right now, but 1.8 GPA. I'm not going to waste a scholarship early on that and have him not be able to make it. But the one guy that has given us the verbal, he's a shooting guard, I believe, yeah. Grant McCleary, he's a 3-star rated player. So I've got, 2 offers here to 3 stars. So I will take that and just see what I can do. I covered this last episode, but for what it's worth for myself, I've started seeing some improvement in player development. Maybe I'm getting better at that. Maybe that'll have some impact. So I'll take some of these guys and hopefully develop them into better players if they're not rated too highly out of high school. But the last thing I was going to look at before we start playing some games on the depth chart, one of the things that was a real big glaring problem to me was point guard. I'm going with the shooting guard there. Mark Stewart, he's 3-star overall, 4-star potential, which he's a senior, so he's probably not going to grow much more than that 3 stars this year. But if he does happen to do that throughout the season, that'd be good because he's rated on the high side in pretty much every category except drawing fouls. His court IQ could be better. I think that's something you want to have pretty high if you're looking at point guard position. But his ball handling, passing, stealing, outside shooting, free throw shooting, I think he's going to fit in at point guard. He's been... It's weird to me that unless he just developed in the offseason, he has been a starter for this team before and hasn't put up too many. The numbers aren't too good. I'll say it that way. Last season, 10 minutes a game, he didn't start, but I can see why after that year when he did start. But I'm hoping that he'll be a good choice at point guard. He's going to get most of the time, at least these first several games, because I don't really have much on the bench. I've got a Fisher here who is a walk-on, but he doesn't have any defense or scoring ability. I want to limit him as much as I can. I'm only giving him 2 minutes on the depth chart. And then the true backup I have is a sophomore, and he's going to be problems because he wants solid minutes. He's already got a bad relationship with me, but his ratings aren't there. He's not a good ball handler or passer. He's got some potential, but he's not going to be the player that Stewart is. And then shooting guard, I'm going with Rose, who is a junior, 4-star potential, has some development room, good outside shooter, poor free throw shooter, but I'm hoping at that shooting guard position and the offenses we're running, I'm hoping that he'll get a good amount of scoring there. He's got good athleticism, discipline. I think between the two of them, I knew that of the 2 shooting guards, I was probably going to have to use one as a point guard. Stewart, I think, was the better bet there. You look at Rose's player stats. This will be his 3rd year starting on the team. He's probably one of the leading scorers, if not the leading scorers on the team. Last year, he took a step back, though. It's about the same amount of minutes, but not as many points. And then small forward, Harrell, a senior. I think this is probably a case of a guy not meeting his potential, because had he met his potential, he would have been a good player, I think. He's good in almost every category, except maybe drawing fouls. Outside shooting could be a little bit better from that position, but I'm going with him based on the depth chart, really. And then power forward, same deal. But I like this guy because he's got good potential in inside shooting, free throw shooting even. I think that's really would be nice to see from kind of an inside type player. He doesn't have a lot of size though. But scoring, passing, rebounding for sure. I think he's in his defensive abilities, I think are going to help out. He was a starter last year. Well, he was probably the leading scorer last year. 10 points a game, almost 7 rebounds. This guy may be one of the better players on the team, even though he's not rated that highly from the star aspect. And then I'm going with a true freshman at center because I really want to see this guy has probably the best size of any of the centers. He's got really good rebounding and defensive ability, shot blocking. He's good at drawing fouls, and he's pretty decent at the free throw line. Good inside shooter. I really want to see if this guy will develop with a lot of play time. So he's going to get a lot of minutes at center. And if you've watched some of my previous playthroughs, you know 30 minutes a game, that's pretty high for me. I don't like usually putting that much in the depth chart with my starters, but I'm going to go with it for this one to see, especially some of the younger ones like Daniels and Horton, see if they can get some development out of it. And then backing up, you got Callaway. Even though he's rated 3 stars, he's got good size. This guy does not have the ratings, I don't think, as the 2-star small forward. He's got good IQ and athleticism. Passing is pretty good. Scoring, free throw shooting are pretty good. But we'll see. He may wind up getting some time there if the other guy doesn't, because Harrell's also a senior. So two small forward seniors there. And some backups here of note. Matthews, a sophomore. He was the starter on this team last year, and I don't know. I don't think that's what I want to see out of the center position. He is sophomore, so he's got some room to develop, but I want to give it to Daniels right now. So Harris, small forward with some potential, but he's a junior, and the individual ratings don't really show that potential as much as the star ratings, so I don't think I'm going to waste a whole lot of time on him. But that's why I think this recruiting class is going to be really key. If those guys that I'm targeting look pretty good. Victor Wilson is a freshman. He was a redshirt last year. He's a 4-star potential. He might be a pretty decent backup, but I don't know about him either as a starter. I'm trying to give him a few minutes here and there, but hopefully he'll be okay with it. I'm not really seeing too many upset players. I expect to see, though, that increase as the year goes on because some of these guys are going to want time. But, I've got 3 seniors leaving off this team and then some juniors behind them. But it's a fairly young team for the most part. There's 4 sophomores, 4 freshmen, one I'm going to redshirt this year. So this might be a pretty good setup, knock on wood, that I can have some success with. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to back up though before I do that because I did want to show you the schedule I'm talking about. You call me stupid. It probably was stupid to go this route, but we open at Toledo at home. We might be closely matched with them, but then we're on the road to Georgia Tech. We play Temple at home, on the road to Wisconsin, Utah, at Duke, home against Richmond. Yeah, you're probably wondering what was I thinking. I should have probably swapped out a couple of those, but we'll see. I think it's like trial by fire at this point, and I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games plus a tournament there. Oh, against Arizona. So 11 games before we hit our conference schedule. We'll be lucky, I think, to win 3 or 4. But I just hope that it leads to some good early development and makes us more competitive once we hit that conference schedule. Because in terms of the goals for this year, it's pretty easy. A couple of them anyway. Don't finish last. Finish above 500. Depends on how that opening schedule works, though, whether will be able to finish at 500. But let's go ahead and get it started. So I'm just going to sim through these, and I have used the 2D game engine. I don't really have a whole lot of problems with it. I just don't think I used it correctly, and I was probably causing more trouble than I was helping. So just to make it easier to get through these seasons, I usually just sim it, and that's what we're going to do today. Toledo at home, and we lose first game. So could be a preview of things to come. I do think this is a tough schedule, like I said. There are no gimmies. I think our scout had us at 51-49 over them. So we'll go back here and see what 68-66. That's terrible. So Daniels center, pretty decent game. Look at Horton. I do think he's going to be defensively pretty sound, but 13 rebounds, that's incredible. I don't know if I've seen that many rebounds from too many players in this whole entire playthrough. Point guard, no, not Rose. I think it's Stewart. 9 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds. Looks like this was just a tough loss. Matthews off the bench looked pretty decent. Again, he was the starter last year at center, but he got a decent amount of minutes. Off the bench, White, Harris. We had some good bench play here, so it makes you wonder as we go along, are there some guys that I should be starting? But I'm going to go with what I got for now. I didn't look at the team stats. Sorry, I want to check that out, because let's see here. We got shooting 40%, not great from the line. Rebounds mainly because of Horton, but we out-rebounded them. So this was just a close game. I mean, defensively we looked pretty good. It may have come down really to that free throw performance. We hit 4 of those, we win. We hit 3 of those, we win. So not good there. And again, it's one of those things I really wish there was an option to train for that, or to practice for free throws. I think it should be. I hope that's something that they think about. If I'm missing it, please, again, all you good commenters, let me know. I just feel like, as you go along through a season, I think that's something that you should be able to say, hey, this week we're going to devote extra time just to free throws or something. I feel like that would make the practice plans and your practice time a whole lot more beneficial if you could target it like that. I've had a few teams throughout these playthroughs, though, that you get to that, you get a stretch where it's hard to get 50-60% free throws. You need to work on it, I think. So now we're going up against Georgia Tech on the road. Fully expect to lose this one, and I do. 0-2. So that's, I was hoping at least to beat Toledo, but so that's not the start I wanted. Again, those 11 games, with the schedule that we have, I could easily see us struggling to win 3 of them. I'm hoping, I didn't get to see the score flash up there. I'm hoping we at least played it pretty close and maybe had some good play from a few players. Not close. 77-52. Team-wise, we held them. Well, we didn't hold them too much. We may have been pretty disciplined, though. They only went to the free throw line 6 times. Hey, here you go. We were 100% free throws. Rebounds 43-28. That was a big blow after that first game. I thought that would be a strength for us. But Daniels, inside 2 good games from this freshman, sophomore. Why was I thinking he was a freshman? All right, so I was wrong about that. Sorry. I for whatever reason, I thought that he was a true freshman. But a good game from him, but not much from anybody else. Off the bench, Wilson, shooting guard, freshman, red shirt. He might be somebody I need to get some time, playing time. Got 8 minutes here. That's not too bad for a freshman coming off the bench. Matthews backing up at center wasn't all that great. And then Ryan Y, I think I've got him backing up as well. Or I can go back to the depth chart. One of those guys is backing up at one of those guys is actually backing up at power forward, and I can't remember now. Let me double check and see who it was. It is Y. Yeah, he's the one who's backing up at power forward. So another freshman, he may develop into that position. We definitely need the help at power forward. So we got Manhattan scouting report here. They're 2-0 in the Metro Atlantic. They're probably scouted ahead of us. No, we're actually picked to win, even though we don't have any advantages there. And then we already have here's SC Upstate. This might be a good chance for us. Apparently, though, we're rated pretty close to them. But we do have a letter of intent from Grant McCleary. Again, he was one of my better recruits. I hope he plays to that 3-star potential, or at least when he comes to the team. So let's go ahead and get through some more games here. I would love to be able to pick up a couple wins here early. Missouri off to a 3-0 start. Old Dominion, I think they're in our conference. Yeah. Pretty big, pretty big conference in terms of the amount of teams. But I still think this is a conference you can build from. I think that if you get a good team, good recruiting, improve that prestige, good recruiting classes year after year, I think you might have a chance at making the tournament, pretty regularly, a few years in a row anyway. So I don't think the streak's going to end. We're playing Temple now, and we're playing them at home, I think. So, and we win. Wow, that was one of those I wasn't expecting a win out of. Finally, my first win with UAB. So let me take a look. Hopefully that was a sign of good things coming. Let's see, 72-64, pretty good. I think our defense has been game to game not too bad. That's one of the things that my coach, my skills, or however you want to say it, attributes as a coach, I'm rated pretty decent at defense. So we had some good play from a lot of guys here. Not a lot of negatives at all from that starting 5. So they put up a good, solid game. Defensively, we held them to 42%. Didn't send them to the line too much. I'm liking that. I'm seeing 2 games in a row where we were pretty disciplined. And on the flip side, we shot pretty well, but we were 16 for 18 from the free throw line. So I'd love it if that first game was a fluke and that we're better than that. But individually, Horton, a good game, 10 points, 7 rebounds. Daniels, again, pretty decent play from him at center. Stewart, not that great. He may have he was the one who got in foul trouble. Brooks, Matthews off the bench. Not really good bench play. I'm fine with that. Harrell led the team in scoring. He got player of the game. Harrell is the small forward senior, so not going to have him around after this season, but he may be one of the guys who's going to have to carry this team. So now we're going to go back to playing out the games. That was a big win, though. I think I wasn't expecting it. So I can't see the schedule here. I wish you could, but if I'm not mistaken, I think we got 2 of our better matchups coming up. And that was a good matchup, Kentucky-Gonzaga. It's not here, so Penn State there, I noticed was playing. I'm going to go back and when this is over and see. They were playing Old Dominion. See what kind of start Penn State's off to. That'd be bittersweet if they turn it around this year. But let's see. They were hammered, 61-44. That was the problem with that Penn State team. That the way I left them, they were just not good scoring wise. Ratliff, who small forward that I had drafted or signed, recruited. He's got some good potential still, and I think he's just a sophomore now. Yeah, so he's getting starting time. Perry, a senior, small forward. Parks they're putting him in there at center. I didn't really have a whole lot of luck with him. I thought he was another recruit. I thought he was going to be a good player, but he wasn't. And then Ferguson, they're in trouble. I'm surprised some of these guys, though. Let me see. Cross, a walk-on. O'Kelly. Where are the guys that I guess the guys that I recruited didn't sign? Is that the problem? I can't remember who I recruited, honestly. But they're probably going to struggle still. That's a tough program. I think I heard from another commenter, another viewer on my channel who was like, yeah, I tried Penn State and had the same luck that I had. So I was wrong. We got another tough opponent on the road against Wisconsin, who already has one loss. They're not the team they were when I started playing this game, back in that 2019 season with Austin Peay. I think they were, a really good team, and maybe a good team the first season I was with Penn State, but they struggled a little bit last year. And we did lose, by the way. We're 1-3. Probably got some more scouting reports here. It'd be nice though if one of those guys would give me a verbal. So where is? Oh, wow, 58-39. That's a step back. It's a tough opponent. I mean, but for what it's worth, holding them to 58 points might be a good sign. Although, again, this is probably not the same Wisconsin team we've seen in previous seasons. We held them with under 40%. We've been doing pretty good there. Again, not a lot of fouls. We didn't send them to the free throw line that much. Rebounds 35-32, so that was close, but not a lot of scoring. Daniels, 9 rebounds, but no points in the middle there. Stewart, just a couple assists. I really would love a true point guard. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to struggle heavily this year because of that. Horton, another good game from him. So kind of liking the combination there. Get him to double digits in points, keeps those rebounds totals. I think, he could possibly be a good power forward for the next few seasons. Off the bench, Callaway 6 points. Small forward, he's rated 3 stars. Again, senior that I don't really have a whole lot to do with. Don't know what I'm going to do with him anyway. So a bad win, or bad loss, but I expect the loss. I didn't expect to be held to 38 points, 48 points, whatever it was. I'm going to check my email before we get to this next game. Just to make sure, I forgot about that. It's Eastern Michigan scouting report. Again, our scout likes us on these matchups. Can we get lucky here? And then Utah, heavily favored. Really, we don't match up anything close except in point guard, which I have a hard time believing. I'd like to play two more games, give us an even 6. Depends on who we're playing. We got SC Upstate. Unless we just completely blow this game, and we do. And that was one that I was figuring we were going to win easily. Looking at some struggles. I think you're going to see that, though, with a young team. You're going to see this kind of get another 2-point loss. So Toledo and SC Upstate, really heartbreaking losses right there. So they got a lot of free throws. So that whole discipline that I was kind of talking up there failed us in this game. We definitely outshot them, 59 attempts to 45. But they went to the free throw line 9 more times than we did. 11 more baskets. That's the difference. Rebounding, they out-rebounded as well. But Daniels looked good in the middle. Horton got into some foul trouble, although he played pretty much the whole game, most of the game anyway. Stewart is. This is where I'm seeing some issues. I can't see this kind of number for the season from a point guard. Low point totals, low assists, steals. I don't know what would be a good number for that. Closer to 1 a game, maybe 2 a game. And then off the bench, Matthews getting some time at center, but not too much there from the bench either. I want to get one more game in, see if we can redeem ourselves. This is going to be tougher than I thought. Even though I said, 3 wins is going to be a stretch possibly for this team, but you can't lose to a team like that. They came in 0-4, and you can't lose to a team like that at home. But I am beginning to think that that 3-win prediction might be about where we land, or worse. So we lose again. That was to Manhattan. Now I like to, I guess I could be second guessed here. You guys watching it, you might have some second guesses, some second guessing on my depth chart. You can give me some feedback and see if you're noticing anything that I'm not doing. But I like the idea of, especially some of these younger guys, like I say, I like the idea of just running with them, although that's a bad loss, 81-73 at home. against a weaker opponent. We were leading in the first half. They had a good shooting game. And looks like they player of the game didn't have a jersey there, but rebounds, we out-rebounded him again from Horton. This guy is really good at rebounding. Look at that 8-8 offensive and defensive potential rebounding. He's been one of the bigger surprises. Just a 2-star guy. He's a sophomore. He's been one of the bigger surprises so far. Daniels, I'm still okay, I think, with him at center. But the big problem I'm seeing, even though Stewart had 13 points, I do not like that line from a point guard, and I think I'm just going to have to deal with it because, Wilson, definitely he's a redshirt freshman. He's not going to be the point guard I need. Even Brooks, even though he's rated as a point guard, I don't see him giving me what I need from that position. I mean, I'm giving him more minutes this year. I don't think he can complain too much about that. But point guard is weak on this team, and it's costing us. Rose, for what it's worth, was the leading scorer, but 1 in 5 so far. I'm in trouble. And we're playing Duke next. I bet this is like 95-5. Close, 90-10. We do have a better bench. So I'm gonna have to give it a little bit more time. With that schedule, I knew I didn't expect to struggle that much against those two teams. I mean, the fact that Temple's the only win is a little bit of a shocker, but are we going to win 2 more games and win 3 out of these first 11? If we don't, we're really going to be upside down when we get to the tournament. Let me go back to recruiting too, but just to make sure I haven't lost anything there. So I've got Stewart out there with a scholarship offer. I'm not seeing anybody on that list. I think Banks, I've worked him a little bit before, and at this point, like I say, between the two, I just couldn't see Banks coming here. Location was such a big priority for him. And then on shooting guard, even though I've already got the guy I want there, I'm not seeing anybody new on the interested list. And then small forward, same deal, Martin, who I do have the scholarship out. We're still his second team. I may give him a ring, and I've got all the let's talk about his parents, and then interest in the school. I'm in the top 3. He is, if I can't get him, I think I'll probably be stuck with somebody like Landry. But we're in the evaluation page. I can scout him live. I don't know that we have any other contact period coming up now until March where I can visit him at home. So if we don't get a verbal from him soon, I mean, he's probably not gonna. We don't have a whole lot that we can do. I'm gonna scout him live, even though it's costly. I definitely want to make sure I get. Oh man, we're down to 3 on his list. I want to try to keep him if I can. Landry, we're number 1 on his list, so it's possible I'll have to go with the backup there, but hopefully I can get Martin back in line. But that'll do it for this episode. Again, appreciate the support in the channel, the comments, the likes. Probably have some comments after this one because that's a terrible start. It's going to be probably a rough first year, but I do think I can do something with this team finally. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next episode.